What is going on, everyone? Parsnip here, and I'm finally back. So as it has been a while, I'm going to be doing something a lot of you have been asking, and that is an updated decoration guide. So to start, you gotta pretty much know your tools. This pretty much means you should know what you're working with or what's available to you. Be it furniture, blocks, wallpapers, all the way to things like grass seeds, and a bucket of water. Now, it's really important to know what you can use, so let's go ahead and take a look. So for starters, we could go ahead and start talking about blocks that you can go ahead and use with or without actuators. Now, blocks, whether you want to or not, you will be using it for your house. It's pretty much going to be the frame of your house. What very few people fail to realize is that blocks can actually be used as a means for decorating the house. You could go ahead and use them like interlooped with other blocks of different types or colors, as a matter of fact, to highlight things or just to make it look like it has a little bit more details. You can also go ahead and use actuators on them so that they don't get in the way, but they serve pretty much as a highlight, like they distack from the background. They could serve as support beams or anything along those lines. Now, with everything I say, I'm going to go ahead and show some examples in the background, and hopefully you guys get the gist of what I'm talking about. Now, if you do end up with any questions or anything of the sort, be sure to let me know in the comment sections below. So next up, we have the thing that pretty much follows the blocks, and that is the wallpapers, the walls, and paint. So not only do you have the normal walls that you could go ahead and use, you can also go ahead and use more than walls on the background. So I do tell people quite a couple of times now in multiple videos of mine that using more than one type of background, be it like wood and stone or something along those lines, gives it more details. It makes the house feel more full, or the building, whatever it is, it always works. You can also do this same effect with paint. So be sure to try and be creative, maybe paint a section of the wall, maybe the whole thing if needed, and maybe use some different textures and whatnot. Don't forget, even if the color is different, but you like the texture, for example, you like the stone texture, but you don't think it matches with your blue house, go ahead and just put some paint on top of that. Again, for the background, you could go ahead and start adding windows. Now, windows are an amazing way to create some space. If it's a big area that you have and it's empty, you could go ahead and use things such as fences or glass to make some windows. Now, fences and glass make great means not only for light but for diversity, right? Because you can see through the windows and the fences. You can see pretty much if there's a blood moon going on, or if there's if it's night or day or whatnot. And it always is a really cheap means to go ahead and just fill the background, like putting it over a table or something along those lines. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about more background items, but this here is actually items themselves, and this can be anything from paintings to anything that you could go ahead and hang up or use in the background. So it could be the signs, paintings. You could even go ahead and consider banners or things like that. Now, again, not a lot of people go ahead and make paintings or use paintings, but paintings are a great way to go ahead and fill empty gaps and spaces around the background. Same thing with items that don't fill as much, but they do count towards the details. And this could be coins, gems, and crystals pretty much, as well as other things. I'm not going to be talking about every single item. However, you could go ahead and make, for example, a treasury. You could fill the floor with coins. You could go ahead and put some gems on the walls and the roof. All of those small things end up making the room look complete. Next up, we could start talking about some more practical items such as the lighting. This could be lanterns, candles, lamps, chandeliers, and everything along those lines, living fire blocks and whatnot. And not only are these actually useful, but they serve a great purpose. You also have other practical items like chests, workstation doors, platforms, beds, etc. All of these are great because they serve a purpose and they also fill the place. So you could go ahead, for example, and make a small section of your house into a bedroom. Now what would you have in your bedroom? Pretty much a lighting source, something like a lantern, a bed, a practical item that you could go ahead and sleep in and spawn in, as well as things that you could just fill it up with, like dressers, a clock, something along those lines. You also have decorations that's not as practical but are aesthetically pleasing, and this can be anything like books, bookcases, clocks, aquariums, terrariums, cups, plates. The list goes on, and there's a huge amount of things. And the last thing that I want to talk about knowing your items is how to combine them. Now, a lot of things that you can do, especially with tables, dressers, workbenches, is put things on top. Now this could be things like bottles and candles, or you can make it a little bit more of a combinations of sorts. For example, you have a table with 2 chairs, you can make it into a dining room, or to make it look like a kitchen by adding cups and plates on top of it. So make sure you keep this into account. So guys, that's pretty much it as far as knowing your items. I hope all of you just take a quick look at the furniture section of Terraria and the decoration part, and just browse around a little bit and have an idea of what you can actually use. Don't forget, it doesn't have to be furniture. It could be a bucket of water that you place to make a little gate, or a little lake actually in between buildings to make it look cool. So not to keep this long, let's go ahead and talk about the next thing, and that is themes. So themes are pretty much what's going to unify the building. Now you don't necessarily need a theme, but to have a theme is pretty much a means of making the entirety of the building look good. Now with that being said, we will talk about buildings and rooms that don't actually match later. So let's just go ahead and talk about the themes. So what is a themed house? The easiest way to answer this is by showing you, for example, a village that is here, for example, based on cold and ice. Now the theme of this is something that's cold, that's like frosty and ice theme. So you can see that I use a lot of cold colors such as blue and white, as well as frost themed furniture. So this not only makes it easy to decorate rooms as you constantly use the same stuff, aka you'll be using the same materials throughout the house, village, or building. It also makes the building look like one, and in the case you make a village or something of the sort, it does feel more unified. You know, it fits in. So let me go ahead and show you guys some examples. You can do this with a tree house where you would use something like wood in tones of brown and green. You could make a fancy temple filled with gold and yellow, or even something like a small hut with dark wood and snow. The possibilities here are endless, and keeping a theme not only helps you save time by only having to farm one type of material, but it also looks good overall. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about something we all do, and that is mismatching. Maybe you ran out of that certain material, or perhaps you just wanted to make it look unique, but keeping a house mixed, like with different colors, for example, a part of the house blue, a part of the house red, and then you add pink to the roof, is not the most aesthetically pleasing theme. So here are some ways to fix this. You could keep the frame and the background a certain theme, and then keep the decorations different. For example, you want to make a dark, evil dungeon under your house, go ahead and make that whole section dark and evil. Or for example, if you just want to make one room different, you want to use those gold items that you dropped from the pirate, make it into a treasure room and keep that theme of that room alike. But for example, the frame, the outside part of it, instead of making that gold, keep it the same color. If your house is wood and you put the gold pirate furnitures in there, go ahead and keep the surroundings wood. That way it would still feel like one place, and not that you just made one part and then later on made another part, and then later on you ran out of blocks and then decided to use another part of a different block and then just finish it up with a completely different block. It's pretty simple to farm one type of block. Just keep the block that you're farming easy to obtain. That way you don't run into this problem, and make sure to try to make the frame first before completely decorating your house. Otherwise you might get bored. Last up guys, just to not keep the video completely long, and again, there is a ton of things to do with decorating. However, I do not want to get into an hour-long video on this. but that is knowing how to use some materials, some blocks, and things like that. So first I mentioned pretty much how you would know the blocks, learning how to, or finding out what type of blocks you have, what's easy to use and what you can use. Then I talked about the themes and things like that you can do. Next up, I just want to show you guys some examples in the background of buildings, things that you guys can go ahead and be inspired by. I hope you guys don't mind, but something that you shouldn't do and should do is you shouldn't completely copy something that you see online. You see a screenshot, it looks cool, don't just flat out copy it. It's completely okay to be inspired by something and make something look similar to that or use that theme. But be creative, guys, have fun. That's the main part with decorating and building. It is to have fun. So sure, you can see someone use, for example, wooden beams as curtains, and yes, you can do that, but don't imitate the whole room. Try to have some fun and play around with things. You never know, you might find something you like more, you might have fun discovering things and so on. Again, if you do feel inspired by something that you do see and want to make something similar, by all means, I'm sure everyone that made that building would be happy to know that their work is so good that other people are actually building their builds based on it. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for now. I know it has been a long time since I did make a video, and I know this one is pretty much an updated version of a different video that I do have. However, I will again start making more videos, and hopefully if you guys have any other suggestions or anything you want me to do, make sure to leave them in the comment section below. And if there is anything, and I mean anything, that I missed on this video, or that you would like to know about decorating or how to do something, or maybe something you want me to talk about, again, just make sure to ask. So as always, guys, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.